Hey guys, how's it going? Tespa Collegiate Series here, and we're about ready to get into match number 7 for the day. All of these, obviously, qualifier matches, very exciting because the winner of this match is going to the live finals. My name is Cora Georgiou, and I'm joined on the desk by Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora. We have already done 2 fantastic matches today, and we have yet another one coming up. So let's quickly take a look at the bracket from the West region. Our match is going to be UC Riverside taking on UC Santa Cruz, and then there will be Cal taking on Central Washington as well. So the winners of these 2 matches will be moving on to the live finals. The last 2 teams joining the 6 we have already had.
Down from hundreds of competing teams in the Collegiate National Championships here for Hearthstone. It has just been such a wild ride. I've loved the regular season. I'm honestly kind of sad it's coming to a close, but someone's got to win this darn thing, and so we're going to find out which 2 teams are going to be competing for that shot.
Well, these 2 teams have to decide who is going to that live finals. It's going to be UC Berkeley taking on Central Washington University. 2 rather diverse lineups. We do have Rogue mirrored in both, but Paladin is sort of an outlier we haven't been seeing too much of since Ungoro came out.
That's right. Once again, we have 6 classes represented with Rogue and Warrior between the 2 of them. And here we can see Yatirs, Lee Mudjix. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but I've just
been saying it differently every time.
Exactly. I'm a phonetic
And I
spelling.
figure eventually we'll hit it.
Yeah. And then Cynical, which is exactly how that
That's how
outlook.
I feel about Lee Mudjix's name.
A lot of science and engineering, as always. You'd love to see that. Whoa.
Seeing some school spirit for University of California, Berkeley. There were quite a few Cal teams at the top of their region, and I think this is the one that has made it all the way through. And their opponent, Central Washington University, it is Saltman, Alpha Hydra 1, and Dylan.
Yeah, we saw this team compete on the broadcast in the regular season as well, and I remember making a steampunk comment about that, but like a Siberian steampunk.
Yeah, like a skiing steampunk.
Yeah.
No goggles here. I don't know if I made that joke before.
Oh, he's getting some snacks and stuff.
You know, you
Ready
gotta
to go.
load up. Make sure you hydrate.
That's a big key to Hearthstone victories. Number 1, you have to attack a lot.
Yes.
Number 2, you have to draw a lot of cards. And then number 3, you have to drink a lot of water.
Drink water, deal 30 damage, drink some water, get some rest.
Key to
Recipe
winning
for
that.
Hearthstone success. All right, so no Paladin for University of California, Berkeley. They have Self Bandit. And Central Washington University has taken away their Shaman.
Yeah, I've yet to see a Paladin build that really sticks out to me, other than what Tides of Time has been playing for the past, I don't know, 2 days or so straight, it seems like. He posted his list on Twitter, and StrifeCrow was a big fan of it as well. So curious to see if that mid-range Paladin is going to be the direction that ends up going. I've seen a couple of Murloc Paladins on ladder as well. Kind of gave me a little bit of a beat down with that 2/3 that gives a Murloc plus and plus 1. That guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
And but I think Paladin is probably the most wide open class at the moment, I'd say.
I mean, Tides of Time's list is certainly making my ladder climb that much more difficult. It does seem to have quite a bit of potential. But game number 1 here, we're actually going to see the first mage of today for Cal, and then Central Washington on the Hunter.
Yeah, Berkeley Bully in the deck in the opening hand, Acolyte of Pain, Ice Block. This is kind of interesting to me because most of the mage builds I've seen have been some sort of freeze mage-esque style build where their goal is to largely just shut down the opponent's board attack until they find the combo pieces necessary to actually end the game. I'm curious if that's the same thing that Cal's going for here. Arcane Missiles also in the opening hand. This may be the more aggressive version that's out there. Runs a couple of Cold Light Oracles I've seen and tries to just buy extra turns with Ice Block so it can have time to cast all its burn spells. And Central Washington has Knife Juggler, Explosive Trap, and we saw them mulligan away Leroy Jenkins. I'm curious if this is a much more aggressive version of Hunter than we've been seeing. We've been seeing a lot of them just try to be more synergy-based.
I would anticipate that it is. We have not seen any secrets in Hunter lists in this tournament over the last 2 days. An Explosive Trap definitely seems like it could work very well in this meta, but I don't think it lines up very well against this mage deck. It is not a minion-heavy list.
Now that's an interesting draw, unless that's the 2/1.
It is. It's the 1-mana
Okay.
2/1 that deals 1 damage to both heroes.
Gotcha. I was thinking it might have been the Hive Queen. That's the 2/3, yeah.
This is the Emerald Reaver. Similar pictures. One is significantly better.
The Reaver.
You got it.
It's not bad. I mean, it's 2/1 beast.
It's an aggressive Hunter deck, deals 1 damage.
Seems good.
Not awful.
Cal, meanwhile, has An interesting opener, I'd say. None of these cards working together super well. And Jeweled Macaw is probably not on the top of their radar of minions they need to tempo down.
I would think probably not. It's certainly a great addition from Ungoro, but the body itself is not threatening.
So this will be where things, I think, get interesting for Central Washington. They now have two very different directions to take. One of them, of course, being the Animal Companion right away and try to start pushing damage. Follow up with Knife Juggler and the Emerald Reaver, or they could just go with the Knife Juggler now.
Could also see Juggler Coin Reaver into Companion Houndmaster. They curve out quite well that way, but you have two Houndmasters in hand. You really want to guarantee that those hit a target on board.
That's kind of what I'm looking at, too. If the Animal Companion right now, it's very likely to go uncontested on Cal's turn 3. Mage doesn't... I don't think they even have a 4 damage option for turn 3.
Forgot Torch is gone.
And even that wasn't 4 damage.
And Arcane Blast still in standard.
No, it's not. That's
okay, that would have been Blood Mage, Arcane Blast would have been their option.
And so with that not being able to be contested, they could then follow up with Knife Juggler and the Reaver and likely stick a minion to the board for the Houndmaster. So this way, I think, does a very similar job as well, where it's kind of testing Cal. Like, do you want to hero power this again? And this is where that Arcane Missiles now comes into effect. They're looking to land at least 2 of these, then hero power the other.
That's exactly what they get.
Now Animal Companion can be challenged for Cal by the Fireball or potentially by the Water Elemental. So this will be an interesting pan out here as well. We'll see if Cal has more concern with keeping the board very clean or if they want to get some development down.
Well, the Misha would only be cleared immediately by the Fireball. If Cal elects to go with the Water Elemental, the Houndmaster will line up very well with the buff on Misha.
Mirror Image gets drawn, and that could also change up some of the game plans here. So suddenly the option for Sorcerer's Apprentice doesn't look all that unappealing with, say, Sorcerer's Apprentice Mirror Image and then Hero Power on the Misha. Look to have the Sorcerer's Apprentice threaten it. But they're going to continue to play very diligently here. Just remove minions on board, turn and turn again, and hope that Central Washington misses a step.
I'm interested to see exactly what is in Cal's list, because I know Sorcerer's Apprentice, Molten Reflection, and then Archmage Antonidas and Fireballs is very powerful. So is the Sorcerer's Apprentice something that Cal needs to hold on to until the very late game and try to, use lots of cheap burn spells with, or is it something that they can afford to give up in the early game to contest Central Wash's board?
Well, the Molten Reflection combo version is going to be a Waygate. That's the quest for mages, and so they didn't have quest in their opening hand. So I'm guessing this is just strictly here to eventually provide some discounts. Again, I would venture to say that Cold Light Oracle was probably in this deck, but with Water Elemental and Berkeley Bully, I'm not so sure anymore.
I don't know that I've seen a version with this many mid-range minions.
Speaking of open, the Waygate, it was just opened in the bottom left, if you saw. The Berkeley Bully is actually really annoying for Central Washington here as well. Just the fact that the body is so sizable means it's going to be able to contest the board very well. Suddenly it's looking like all that time Cal spent investing into the board, Central Washington missed that beat on turn 4. Yeah, so this is looking like a fairly tempo-oriented build with a couple of ice blocks to ensure you have time to burn out the opponent.
This is very interesting. I have not played this list myself on ladder post Ungoro. Obviously, similar tempo mage lists with the loss of Flamewaker are weaker, so I'm wondering where they make up some of the damage.
That'd be the shift in direction to the ice blocks and buying the extra
time.
Just
go for longevity.
Yeah.
Maybe some Frost Novas.
I'm not sure. The Berkeley Bully to me tells me Antonidas.
Yeah, of course.
And then again, that would tie into the ice blocks. Just give yourself time to actually cast your fireballs. This turn looks fairly straightforward for Cal. I mean, Ice Spot, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Water Elemental, bash the 3/3, Mirror Image alongside it. Protect that Berkeley Bully.
More coins you get, more value you get in the late game. Coins equal fireballs in this deck.
They're going to debate not attacking here in fear of freezing trap, and so that's a big benefit for Central Washington here. The fact that Cal does not know that they're more aggressive oriented is going to buy them some time, and looks like as a result buy them some damage as well.
Well, the explosive traps are looking a little bit better against the minions in Cal's list.
This looks like a Houndmaster all day to me. Oh, appearing Flame Strike. Ah.
Going right into turn 7.
Ah, the guessing game.
Do they have it or do they not?
It's another benefit that Cal has on the flip side is those ice blocks have been in hand the entire game. They haven't had a need to get them down.
Board clear.
Could very easily be Flame Strikes. Now, they could very easily be Firelands Portal as well. If I've seen Water Elemental, Berkeley Bully, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Mirror Image, I don't even know what I'm playing against right now. My initial thought would be a Kazakus style build. They're actually going to kill the bully here too.
I would almost think Kazakus style mage. Obviously, Central Wash hasn't seen the 2 copies of Ice Block in Cal's hand. We know that if it were a Kazakus style mage, they would have that duplicate. Yeah. So it's less likely.
And when that gets cast, the jig will likely be up.
Yeah.
Until then, I think this is a big guessing game for Central Washington. And frankly, with the way the position's moving, they may be on the verge of losing this.
Spike Dog Rider. Gains charge when you play it and your opponent has taunt.
So there's the Arcane Missiles. Very liberal use.
Yeah.
And then the portal out of order, they just realized too, that's the discussion right there, is that's explosive trap. Whoops. Firelands Portal too soon.
Well, a little bit from both teams of what am I playing against?
Well, the other thing too is if they hadn't used the Firelands Portal first, they might not have been able to actually get the Arcane Missiles. They were obviously looking to get a lucky roll there and be able to push extra damage to the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
A little bit of misordering here, the Hog Rider taking 2 damage, but I don't think it's going to matter.
That's the thing for me. I'm not actually sure it's a misorder. I'm curious if it is. I mean, they put extra damage to the Hog Rider, but again, their goal was to use the Arcane Missiles to clear off and keep the Sorcerer's Apprentice around.
In which case, they would...
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, they would have had to hit 2 out of 3 on the Alley Cat.
Some tricky stuff going on.
Yeah, a bit of a tough turn. Snake Trap coming into Central Wash's hand. I'm guessing that this is a secret build with Cloaked Huntress.
Maybe just Eagle Horn Bow, just relying on that to deliver a lot of damage.
Could be.
Knuckles comes down. I believe Knuckles' German name is Dr. Fists.
Oh, please.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, I hope so.
I think I remember reading that.
Oh, that's so funny.
I could just be totally making that up.
Do you like Dr. Fists or Big Big Fin better?
A Big Fin by far. It's easily the best one.
Dr. Fist is pretty funny, though.
It's definitely good.
I wonder where Knuckles went to school. Face College.
Nope, it's going to get frozen. And it looks like Central Washington's likely to have to just let that go. So 5 damage to face. Debating the trade.
I mean, look at Cal's hand. They've got nothing. They have 0 follow-up.
That's why I'm going face. That thing's frozen. Not going anywhere.
Gotta get the damage while you can.
Can't give him the fisticuffs if you're frozen.
He's sitting this fight out.
Central Washington doesn't really have a strong answer to this. So they have some tricks up their sleeve, but don't know if this is enough to get it done. If Cal picks up a single card draw mechanic, they're going to pull way ahead.
Arcane Intellect,
Maybe.
Acolyte of Pain,
Maybe.
Flame Strike, just straight out.
There's a lot of strong stuff left in their deck. Now, there is some weak stuff, too. Say they have an extra copy of Mirror Image.
Yeah.
There's still another Mana Worm in there.
A lot of single target removal left. Frostbolt,
Sorcerer's
Fireball.
Apprentice. Fireball, I think, would be welcome. It's, it's pretty decent draw at almost any stage of the game. But they want their big payoffs right now. They definitely want Firelands Portal and Arcane Intellect.
I think Antonidas would be welcome as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Never mind drawing Tony.
He's always welcome at the party. Bring him into the fight. See how Dr. Fists does against that.
I hope I just like totally dreamt that. It's like completely made up.
Like, where the hell did he hear that? The Germans in the crowd are very mad.
Just not true. Yeah, Central Washington is. This is exactly what I was thinking. Make use of the frozen minion, get the snake trap down. Hopefully buy some value, but that's an arcane intellect.
Arcanologist. Yep, that's the new 2-mana 2/3. Draw a secret from your deck.
That's right. And suddenly the board.
A little scary.
Look a little rough.
The rougher the board is, the higher your voice gets.
Seems that way.
It's not too great.
Will they be trading now?
They could go face for 9.
9's a lot.
1 fireball, a couple of hero powers, it's game over.
9 is heaps of damage.
Plus, they've got 1 ice block up and a 2nd ice block in hand.
I don't mind it.
Hey, maybe you just go.
Are they getting a secret from this Arcanologist too?
Could be barrier.
My senses tell me no, because they probably would have Arcanologist and played the secret alongside this. So they use the coin strictly for extra damage here. If there's another secret, I will be stunned.
There is not. Just the 2 blocks in the list.
These are inverse good draws for Central Washington. This will hold off the board at least.
Inverse good draws, an alternative title for bad draws. I mean, explosive clears off
a lot.
The minions on board. But you can just trade with the minions.
I think that's a win for Central Washington, because if they can get Cal down to 2, they cannot actually attack them anymore. Secrets cannot trigger on your turn. They have to trigger on your opponent's turn. Your own secrets, that is. Mm-hmm. It'd be ridiculous if secrets just couldn't trigger on your turn. It wouldn't make any sense.
Man, competitive spirit.
It does break the rule.
It's the only one.
Huh.
Yep. Rotate it out, though, so.
Yeah, get out of here, competitive spirit.
Irrelevant, but still.
Nobody likes you anyway.
You know, like 2 years ago, it was okay.
And Cal knows. I mean, they know that explosive trap's in the deck at this point, and with the trades that Central Washington made, that would just be a crazy bluff to run. I don't think it's one.
This would be the most insane snake trap bluff I think I've ever seen.
I'm thinking like bear trap maybe, or like cat trick or something.
Misdirection.
But Cal they cannot afford to call that at this point. They are on full trade duty at the moment. Now they might decide we can call with the Mana Horde though. Whoops. Not the worst result for them, though. I mean, they get the Blood Mage down, so they have 2 card draws coming. Fireball will outright end the game for them in the next turn. Central Washington at 3 damage a turn and 2 ice blocks up. You are looking at 5 turns until they can deliver a kill, and they draw a Cat Trick, which is not good right now.
If there's not Cloaked Hunters in this list, I will be so surprised. There has to be. They're running at least 3 different kinds of secrets.
No, I'm going to venture to say that we'll find out, because this is not a strong position for them.
Ew. I think we're going to be seeing this Hunter deck again.
Firelance Portal will effectively end the game. Berkeley Bully, that'll start
Frost Bolt is a good draw.
It's also pretty good. Cal now knows that there's no more explosive traps. They did see a snake trap. What is the 4th one?
I mean, my head would immediately go to
a second snake trap.
Second snake trap. But both freezing and Cat Trick are viable as well.
And suddenly Central Washington is now being threatened lethal.
I mean, with 2 ice blocks, this game is all wrapped up for Cal. They just need to deal the final couple points of damage.
They're debating the Frostbolt here for 2 reasons. Number 1, is there any minion pressure that could wipe them out? Well, no, they've seen 2 Houndmasters. Number 2, could the Eagle Horn Bow ever potentially counter pressure? As Central Washington draws possibly the worst card left in their deck. That's
Those
checkmate.
are some inverse good draws indeed.
Unless Cal interprets this as a secret that they can't handle. And it's a secret they can handle, so
It's not a freezing trap.
Cal's going to go up 1-0 here. And they get the info that Cat Trick is there at the very tail end of the game. So that's also important for their future games. This Hunter deck is going to have to get played again. 1-0.
They know that there are at least 3 different kinds of secrets in this Hunter deck, means that they can start to pinpoint what some of the other cards in the list are, even though they only saw mostly just standard Hunter minions and a couple of secrets.
It's definitely a true thing. I mean, I would assume that Eagle Horn Bow's in the build very clearly at that point, and very likely Cloaked Huntress, although the information of those two, not quite as important as nailing that Cat Trick at the end. Yeah. If you say they queue up their Rogue or whatever, and they see a secret jammed on turn 2 immediately. You go,
it's likely to be Cat Trick. All right, first mage of the day gets a win for University of California, Berkeley. A very interesting list. That's one that I personally would like to take a look at. And they are going to still have to find wins with their Rogue and Warrior. Central Washington not on the board yet, but they also have a Rogue and a Warrior. And of course, that Secret Hunter build.
I don't think you and I have actually cast a Rogue game.
I don't think we have.
So far. Now we're going to get 2 of them.
I've been playing against a lot of Rogues on ladder. It's not always a great experience.
I have not.
Really?
But I've been playing Pirate Warrior.
I've been seeing tons of Rogues.
Oh, give me the Rogues, please.
I would take the Pirate Warriors. Playing Taunt Warrior. Just, yeah.
Fair enough.
Walls for days.
That was an interesting mage list. Something about it. That game was awfully, slow paced. It was just
It was surprisingly slow paced for 2 relatively fast decks.
Well, what can be fast decks.
Yeah.
But that's oftentimes the nature of a fast deck versus a fast deck, is the last
they
threat
have to trade.
is the one that comes out as king. So when that's the case, you oftentimes have your resources go back and forth and then slowly get chipped away.
Well, it's the 2 decks that we've been seeing a lot of. It's going to be Cal on the Caverns Below Quest Rogue and Central Wash and the Pirate Warrior. Pirate Warrior, I would have to say, has a great shot in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Pirate Warrior is incredibly strong. I mean, that deck lost very little with the rotation from Standard and just continues to pack a lot of damage in it. And it's not a very subtle strategy. It's get minions on board and start attacking. Sometimes you have to clear stuff out of the way to protect your guys, but that's something that Warriors can tend to do very well if they draw weapons. For Cal, they're playing the Quest Rogue, and so the Rogue Quest is play 4 minions with the same name. You have to actually play them. It means pay their costs. So they're going to have Shadow Steps, and as you can see in hand, Ferryman and Youthful Brewmaster. Their goal is to bounce back a minion a lot of times, get the quest active, and then suddenly everything's a 5/5. So this is a kind of an interesting combo deck, but it tends to suffer to just outright reckless damage. It has very few ways to actually protect itself outside of direct removal. And if Central Washington is able to just pour on threats turn after turn, Cal is likely to find themselves in a tough spot.
The Rogue deck does not challenge opposing minions well in the early several turns, and against Pirate Warrior, which is looking to likely kill their opponent by turn 6 or 7, the Rogue's not getting that quest online until turn 6 or 7.
And here, you're seeing a nod to that lack of direct removal. It's going to be dagger up and start attacking. Their main goal is to deny a weapon into Bloodsail Cultist. With this, that it would be likely an insurmountable advantage for them. Central Washington, though, they have the play minion after minion after minion hand. So this plan from Cal looking like it may go the opposite direction.
A lot of
Ooh.
various opinions on the Rogue Quest build that's been running around. Glacial Shard is a card that you're seeing occasionally in it. 1 mana 5/5 freeze an enemy, very strong.
Well, once you get the quest, that is.
1 mana 2/1 freeze an enemy, decent as well.
It's all right. It's going to be Patches. Warsong Commander.
That Patches could be a 2/1.
Not the card it once was, that's for sure. You hate to see that.
That poor card lost its entire identity.
It's still about charge. That's the identity.
Loosely, I suppose.
Crawling Berserker I think this guy's likely to get frozen for a bit.
Yeah, Cal does not have any way to deal with the Frothing Berserker immediately. There are Eviscerates in the Rogue Quest build, but as you can see from this hand, it is a lot of really puny minions very early on that don't start to do anything until you have opened the Waygate. Or no, excuse me, ventured to the Ice Caverns. Oh my goodness, I'm still on Mage Brain.
The Waygate Caverns of...
Waygate Caverns Rogue. I don't want to deal with that.
And this is why the Glacial Shard is in the deck for Cal. It's they don't have the liberty of simply racing Central Washington. So their goal is to buy a lot of time with that Glacial Shard, have that be the minion that they send venturing into the caverns to look for treasure, while the pirates do the dirty work.
And he just happens to be icy, but he has absolutely nothing to do with the Mage Quest.
Central Washington, meanwhile, that is a lot of damage.
Quite a bit of burn in hand. They wish they could pick up a weapon, though.
All these things connected one time, that's 14 points of damage. And the Frothing Berserker, they know that that's going to get frozen turn after turn, so I don't think that they can just be recklessly aggressive here. I do think they have to pay some heed to consequence here and figure out how they want to fight this. And it's looking like upgrade. That's going to help them be stronger against Banner Knives in this spot. Not a great use of the upgrade, but it's better than nothing. There's no weapon active.
Well, it's certainly going to slow down Cal just a bit.
This is going to be tough. I mean, if they had Shadow Step, I'd say they're in great shape. But they don't.
Will have to play the Shard, Ferryman it back, play it, brew it back, play it again.
I'm curious to play the brew first or not, because the 3-2 can, at that point, contest the Dread Corsair, but then it's dying to the Bloodsail Raider. If you play 2-3, it dies to the Bloodsail Raider. But it's not contested the Dread Corsair. Did he say ice to meet you?
It says ice to meet you.
That doesn't even make sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I mean, I get it. It's just not a sentence. That's like saying I accidentally the whole thing.
Has a verb.
Uroy's drawn.
Ooh, that's a big one.
This is a lot of damage for Central Washington. I'm curious if this is the giddy up turn or not.
Do you just go? Cal has to play the Glacial Shard again next turn to freeze that Frothing.
Central Washington, if everything just goes face, they're 3 damage off lethal, I believe. 14 in hand. 1 on board from the weapon. That's 15 plus 5 more. Yeah, 3 damage off lethal if all of this connects with face. That means Kor'kron Elite will win in the game. Mortal Strike will win in the game. Fiery War Axe will win in the game. Arcanite Reaper will win in the game.
2 copies of each of those still left in the deck.
I think it's likely they'll space out the heroic strikes here, so that way they can fit in armor ups as well, try to protect themselves as much as possible.
It's easier to fit a heroic strike into a turn where you do something else. Or just go for it.
Nah, never mind.
I mean...
just get them.
Yeah, why not?
It's the right call. I mean, they've activated a lot of damage now. And now they still have the 1 extra sitting on board, so even South Sea Deckhand would be enough to end this turn. That's why they used the second heroic strike. They have immediate outs on the following.
Oh boy. Cal can Glacial Shard, Ferryman, Glacial Shard again, and the quest will be complete.
Yeah, they have to cast the quest afterwards as well, so that...
yeah, 5 mana.
That is one of the constraints here also, but they can get quite a bit of damage out here. So the Glacial Shard is keeping them in this game. They would have outright lost without that freeze effect.
It's a great addition to this build.
Should they be freezing face? Should they be drawing a card first? These are all questions that Cal's asking themselves right now. And I think that their game plan is to get 3 or so minions on board
play Crystal Core, turn them all into 5/5s.
Yep. Try to use that as their win condition here. Suddenly, Central Washington, they draw their own Glacial Shard. Huh.
Why not? Shards all around. That's an interesting inclusion in the Pirate Warrior. Have not seen that before.
I think Cal would just be a couple points off lethal here if they drew Preparation. But the Glacial Shard's going to pretty much lock that down. But Central Washington now, they're quite a bit off lethal, and suddenly the quest is going to be online. They're going to be able to wipe out this board position.
Vanish.
That's not getting played this game.
Can Central Washington even win? Leroy comes down next turn. They used both heroic strikes.
Well, now
Leroy plus
they can't
Fiery
Leroy,
War Axe.
They can't Leroy preemptively is the thing.
No.
If they'd done it a little while ago, it would have cost them some board presence. They actually would likely just be dead this turn. But now if they Leroy, it's 5/5 whelps that Cal gets. So they need to draw Fiery War Axe right now, or they're in trouble.
That's 1 damage off lethal. 15 on board for Cal.
Well, that upgrade makes them still in trouble, but not nearly as much. They have lethal represented next turn. Cal could bounce back their Glacial Shard and shut off the face attack.
Cal can dagger up, hit face with the deckhand, bounce it back, play it out, hit face again.
Oh, the War Leader. You're looking at the War Leader extra damage. 3, 4, 5. They didn't have the mana to do that. Stone Tusk Boar. That's enough for lethal, I believe.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Oh, they don't have the mana for it. They need
No.
1 extra mana.
They need to dagger up as well.
So they need the Glacial Shard face to shut off Leroy as an out. Wow, this is a weird game. Oh my gosh. Bless you, Cora.
I was holding the cough button. Thank you, Nathan.
And I don't think that Cal is going to attack here either because they don't want Mortal Strike plus something to be an out against them as well. So they're going to keep Central Washington above 15.
Central Washington just can't win.
It would have required Southsea Deckhand right there. That's not it.
Yeah, that would have been the only way.
And Cal, in a crazy nail-biter game, is going to freeze Frothing Berserker to absolute death and pull out one of the deck's worst matchups. Aggressive Pirate Warrior. They take the win with Quest Rogue.
It's just amazing how that rogue makes such bad hands and such poor minions look so good. They had boar control. They literally Stone Tusk board to victory. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, I wasn't bored with that one, though.
No.
That was great. The use of Glacial Shard in that one was impeccable. And they even left it on board and risked it dying at the right time as well. And if that minion had died, I think they lost that game.
Yeah, that was just fantastic navigation of that matchup. Really unfavored for the rogue, I think. The Pirate Warrior is just so heavily favored. And if Glacial Shard had not been in the rogue's deck, the Warrior would have run away with that one very quickly.
Now, I am very quick to conclude one of the worst matchups. Very bad, but my experience of playing with Quest Rogue and playing against it in that Pirate Warrior situation, I have not won very many of those games, and I have won a lot of them on the Pirate side. So
it's just, I mean, the rogue has
anecdotal.
No heal, no taunt. The Warrior has lots of damage. It just doesn't line up for rogue well. But, I mean, rogue into Warrior, rogue into Pirate Warrior specifically, hasn't ever lined up well for the rogue.
So it's the third go here with Pirate Warrior. And Cal is playing the Taunt Warrior deck. And you saw them mulligan the quest away. That is not their win condition in this matchup. Their win condition in this matchup is to completely stall the board position as much as they possibly can. So they held on to sleep with the fishes. That helps combo with Ravaging Ghoul to wipe out Southsea Captains, Frothing Berserkers, Bloodsail Cultists. Central Washington has to find the most effective use of their damage possible. Not only have they drawn patches, but they haven't drawn a weapon, and they've upgraded on one.
It is a very poor start for Central Washington, to say the least. If Cal can have a comfortable life total going into turn 5, I think they can just stabilize and lock Central Washington out of this game.
Right. That's sort of their big game plan here, is to rely on Frothing Berserker to do the heavy lifting.
Poor Berserker. So many high expectations.
Central Washington knows the jig is up at this point. They know that this is not a Pirate Warrior they're facing against.
Yeah, much more difficult to make the decision on whether or not to mulligan Fire Plume's Heart, the Warrior quest, if you're playing against a Warrior deck that you don't know what build it is, but when you know it's Pirate Warrior, absolutely mulligan the quest. An extra card is going to be much more useful to you.
They're going to get absolutely squashed on this next turn if they develop minions.
Yeah. That Ghoul Sleep with the Fishes is nasty.
Devastating to Central Washington. It leaves a 3/3 on board, and it's going to wipe every single minion they have in play. Bloodsail Cultist is the only card, and Bloodsail Cultist is the only card they could draw that would live through that turn. Oh, I take it back. Naga Corsair. That would live as well.
It would, because of the Captain buff, yes. Still, it's just a great start for the Quest Warrior.
I mean, they're just under no pressure. Second Captain's going to come down. Central I mean, I think they have to do this. They need to load up the board, and they need to deliver as much damage as they can.
I mean, this looks great into a hand that doesn't have Brawl or Ghoul or Whirlwind into Sleep with the Fishes.
And that's the way that you have to play. You live and die by this aggressive nature. Cal's deck is meant to take pure advantage of that. That's just about game.
What a blowout. And Cal knows that Wash has patches in hand. They did not see it come onto the board with any of the previous Pirates. And Central Wash going to try fight back into this, but
I have been in this spot multiple times today.
Doesn't feel good, does it?
Doesn't feel bad. I mean, it's just sort of the way it goes. But Cal firmly in control at this point.
To add insult to injury, yeah, go ahead and play the quest before you ever play your first taunt minion.
Right on time. Hey, that one's not too bad.
That's certainly one of the better cards in the deck to pick up.
This is about actually the only way that Central Washington would get back into this, too, is with the Core Chrono Elite pickup. If Cal, if they say they miss removal on the coming turns here, Central Washington could pile on a lot of minion damage. So once again, they're hoping to fade Brawl, hoping to fade Sleep with the Fishes, any big taunt. And they're not going to fade either of those things. It's big taunt.
Dire Horn Hatchling, 5-mana 3/6, Death Rattle, shuffle a 5-mana 6/9 taunt into your deck.
Very good if the game goes super long.
And he's a beast, so Curator in the build does fetch him from the deck.
Yeah, well, this one's also sort of a beast, but not in the same kind of way. More like a dragon, but it's pretty beastly.
Beast by nature,
oh
dragon
they
by...
draw it right away.
Dire Horn Matriarch.
Checkmate. There are no cards left in Central Washington's deck that can get them out of this situation.
Look at Cal. Smiles all around. They know this match is all but over.
Greenskin's pretty cool, though.
I actually have been playing Greenskin. I'm not proud to say I ran Pirate Warrior up to rank 7 on day 1 of the season. Greenskin's I just like it better than Naga Corsair.
There's nothing wrong with playing good old Pirates. Those are just good cards.
Yeah, the people I played against on ladder probably thought differently.
Well,
a couple of them were a bit too vocal about it for my taste.
And Cal, they don't even want to take any risks here. They're just going to squash everything that Central Washington plays.
Cal is at 22 life.
Fire-breathing drakes absorb a lot of damage.
4-8 taunts are very difficult to get over. When you tack a volcanic potion onto them and the dragon tag, that's a great card. Yep.
3-0 for Cal. Celebrations all around. A dominant performance from them. In the close games, they squeaked it out. In the tough matchup, they made great use of their cards. In their prime matchup, complete domination. This could not have been a more complete set for Cal.
Yeah, incredibly well played by Cal. They have booked their tickets to the live finals at the end of this month, and they played incredibly well in the Swiss stage when we saw them on stream, and now it has come full circle, and we've seen them again with great success.
Yeah, it's a lot of the Cal Berkeley teams have just been on fire when it came to the Hearthstone Collegiate National Championships. I believe it was after week 5 they had a combined record in the top 8 teams that were there of I think it was 24-1 was their overall match record.
I think Cal was like 5 out of the top 8 teams
Yeah.
in the region going into week 5. It was absurd, and there are only 7 teams in the tournament from Cal initially in this tournament. It was just unbelievable, and now one of them, fortunately, has made it all the way to the live finals. We do not have an interview with our winners, but we will be seeing them live in Santa Ana.
That's right. That location is where all these teams have been competing for all season long. These playoff brackets have happened. The championship brackets have happened. We finally reached the live finals, and what a way to do it. Brand new format, 3-0.
And with 2 decks we haven't seen up until this point, really, the Mage and the Rogue. The Rogue, obviously, a brand new deck coming out of Ungoro. The Mage, we didn't see all of the deck. I personally would like to know exactly what was in that list because it seemed maybe a little bit like an old Tempo Mage with a few new cards. I imagine there was Primordial Glyph, 2 Ice Blocks, obviously. A really interesting build there. But the Rogue really is the one that I wanted to highlight because we've seen lots of other teams bring it. They've self-banned it up until this point.
That's right.
There's not been a lot of time to learn how to play this deck.
And you kind of saw that in that game. There was a lot of small, little micro decision-making that all makes a big impact. You have to account for how the game looks in 3 turns and then also what you have to do right now in order to stay alive. It is a lot of planning that goes into it. And again, they barely edged it out, and everything lined up almost perfectly for them. The only thing they were missing was like backstab and like a key eviscerate at a certain moment. Still ended up picking up the series. It was 3-0. I mean, just it doesn't get much better than that.